Welcome back to the Sisters Let's Talk podcast lounge. This is Lucia, one of the hosts of the Sisters Let's Talk podcast. In this week's episode, we are featuring a female guest speaker whose name is Toni, and she was talking about her journey and her lessons that she learned being a young breast cancer survivor. So the reason why we chose this topic and why we're featuring it this week is one, she's a phenomenal woman already, and we are celebrating it's International Women's Month, March, as well as, and April is considered as the National Minority Health Month. Therefore, we wanted to feature Toni in this upcoming month health awareness. In this particular topic, you really want to listen because I think it is something that it speaks to the minority health. As Toni talked about it, her journey through breast cancer, we know breast cancer is increasing, the percentage is increasing worldwide, not just in North America. Actually, in Africa, it is as well. And access to what helps in terms of the prognosis is, which basically means if that individual is going to get better, if they're going to get through it. The prevalence of breast cancer is increasing worldwide, not just in North America. It is also increasing in other continents, such as the African continent. So we wanted to showcase and feature Toni as she talked about how she discovered this abnormality that she found out and how she went through the journey. Because now, in terms of statistics, Caucasian women are still higher, they're still considered the highest race in terms of breast cancer diagnosis. However, as Black women, women of African descent, they are more likely to die from this disease. That's one. And two, we have a 41% higher death rate from breast cancer as Black women. And also that the other thing about being a Black or of African descent is that we end up with a more advanced stage of breast cancer, and that is diagnosed at a young age. So there's three things. We experience a more advanced stage of breast cancer at a younger age, and therefore the percentage or prevalence of death from breast cancer is higher in Black women. However, even though Caucasian women have a higher rate of diagnosed with breast cancer. So sit back and listen. We talk about self-diagnosis or self-breast exams. We discuss her journey as a Black woman, where she could find resources, and the fact that she was the anomaly, which is no longer being considered an anomaly, that is being diagnosed with breast cancer at a young age. There was a reason why the guidelines, the breast cancer screening guidelines in North America was mammogram screening started at 50. But as you know, in the United States, it is now at 40. And in Canada, that is also changing in different provinces for us have different guidelines. 50 is the standard, but that's being changed. Even in 2024, that's going to be modified. Those who are at risk, wherein they have a family, an immediate family with breast cancer, who has had breast cancer, or they are sure that there's a BRCA gene. By BRCA gene, it means breast cancer gene 1 and 2. They are considered high risk, and therefore they tend to be screened earlier. But the general population now will actually be screened earlier. So the way Toni discovered the diagnosis or discovered the abnormality is very interesting. So we would like you all to just sit back and listen, and at the end of the day, get something from it. That you have to know your body, you have to understand your body, and prevention is better than cure. We know in our communities these are not something we talk about, so we applaud Toni for coming out and sharing her story with us so that we all can learn. We are, even when we are in a place where healthcare is available, where treatment is available, we still are having that increased percentage of Black or Black women that most some people don't even go to their GP or family practice physician or NP or PA for their physicals. So at the end of the day, we want to bring that awareness because it also affects minority. And again, this is about April, which is the National Minority Health Month, because it is time to raise the importance of improving the health of racial and ethnic minority communities and reducing that health disparity amongst us.
Welcome, welcome, welcome again to Sisters Let's Talk podcast. And today we are so excited to have a wonderful guest on the podcast. We want to welcome our sister Toni, and I just want to say I've known this lady since high school. Just a heads up. And I know she is, we went to high school together.
I was about to say that's a long time.
A long time ago.
That was a long time ago.
We do. And she is a lady of great poise, and she has a very beautiful story that we want to just talk to her. We want to just gain some wisdom and some insights into just the strength that she has as a person. And so welcome again, Toni, and we're so happy to have you on the podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here and to talk about my experience and my story.
Yes, great.
So Fumi, what is the story?
Well, Toni will have to tell us, but one thing we wanted to ask you, Toni, just to start off this podcast. We've been talking about shifting paradigms. We've been talking about things that have changed in our lives. Like one thing that it felt like it was everything was going on well, right? And then something changed and we had to shift with it. What would that thing be in your life that you would say, I want people to know, or this was a great impact for me in my life?
Thank you. So for me, it was something that I probably would never have wanted to have happen in my life. But in life, we don't always get to choose, make the choices for what experiences we go through. And this was a big one, and it was a diagnosis of breast cancer. As you say, we went to from high school, so similar age. So the diagnosis came at a time when I was not expecting it. I was in my 30s, and got to hear the words that have the power to really change somebody's world and to take the rug out from under you, so to speak. And that was about 7 years ago now. that I got that diagnosis.
What did that feel like? I cannot even imagine. I have no words to say that. But what did that feel like? Just
It's
getting that news.
it is, of course, what you do not want to hear, and it is something that nothing prepares you for. So you hear the words and you're like, okay, what does this mean? Am I gonna die? And I go to the am I gonna die because from my home country, Sierra Leone, the experience there is that when you hear that somebody has cancer, because there's limited access to diagnostic facilities and to treatment, most people that know somebody that had cancer have lost those people to cancer. And so automatically when you hear those words, you think, oh, is the end close?
Yeah.
But thankfully, I was in a situation where I had had some awareness that a breast cancer diagnosis, in my case it was breast cancer, doesn't mean the end.
Yeah.
Probably had braids, and I think I was taking the braids out, and all of a sudden my arm brushed my breast, and I felt something that I'm like, what's that? So then you're like, oh, maybe it's just hormonal, but I kept pushing on it, pressing it. Like, no, this is not normal.
And you had no pain?
No, there was no pain. But just kind of this lump that didn't feel like it belonged there. And talking about lumps again is one of the things that we know for women, especially Black women, is that and younger women, we tend to have dense breast tissue.
Yeah.
So, and I remember a conversation with a doctor that I'd had several years earlier. And I said, well, my breast is so dense, if there's something there I wouldn't know. And she said, no, you would know. She said, think about your breast as a bowl of oatmeal. Oatmeal is lumpy, it's not smooth, but that lumpiness is consistent. But if you now introduce something like blueberries in the oatmeal, the texture of the blueberry is different. So as you're going through, you will feel that is different. So I had all of that at the back of my mind and thinking that, well, this is like a blueberry. It's not consistent with the lumpiness of the breast. So that's how I found it. And you found it, I had enough awareness to, this might be something, but thinking that, oh, it's probably just a cyst. So this is what I was thinking.
How did your psyche play into all of this in your healing process?
Oh, I mean, it hits you hard, right? But I think, so it's kind of, it's never constant, let me put it that way. And you go through phases. And so I think initially, after the initial shock of this is now, okay, this is it, this is what I have to deal with. And for a minute there, I think my mind go into the, oh my gosh, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
My mind went there, but I didn't stay in that space, because when I started putting things into perspective, it was like, this happened to you. You were in Sierra Leone when you found this lump. Yes, you couldn't get it figured out there, but you were in a position to be able to leave and get access to care, get a diagnosis pretty quickly once you took that route, and then very quickly get the care that you need. So yes, it was like you have all this long months, over a year long treatment plan that you have to go through. The works, chemotherapy, surgery, radiation, all of that. And in my case, a different type of therapy called targeted therapy. So you had all of that you have to go through, but you have access to it.
Yes.
You have the strength to go through it, because I went through chemo, and for the most part, I did okay compared to a lot of sometimes people get really sick, just depends, but relatively I had all the general side effects, but I did okay. And at the end of the day, I got to a space where, it was there was no evidence of disease of cancer in my body, and so I'm thankful.
Amen.
Yeah, and so it was initially why me, but not staying in that. And then it's like, okay, what's our plan? This is the plan. This is the treatment plan that you're gonna have to follow. And what do I need each time to get myself to the point where my body is able to take the treatment? What is being advised? Certain things that my oncologist would say you probably need to avoid this type of food. It's like, okay, for now, this is what we need to do to get me to where I need to be. So we're going to focus on that. I think at some point, the enormity, because it's huge. They say when you hear the words you have cancer, like then your life becomes the period before cancer and the period after cancer. So your life is never the same. And so it's huge. There was a point where the enormity of all of that hit me, and you kind of deal with those emotions.
Yeah.
But again, working through them, getting support, I think it's very, very important. And one of the reasons why I am talking about my experience is just because no one goes through cancer alone. Because you're afraid that of an illness, that doesn't mean you're going to die from it.
Yeah.
And so let that not be the reason we don't talk about things that are affecting us or that is affecting our community.
Mm-hmm. That is very important, though. That is very important in engaging our community to talk about things that we grew up not talking about some stuff.
Yes,
And
yes.
again, that is the whole point of this podcast, in getting ourselves to talk about things that other people think are just vulnerable, like speaking out your truth, speaking out what you believe can help somebody else, speaking out your story, because again, somebody else is going through that. Just regular conversations that will help somebody. Sometimes it's just us that needs to hear ourselves talk about something to help ourselves. Really, it is sometimes saying it out loud and not just talking to yourself in your head can be a path for healing, and in our mind, body, and soul.